Around the world and across Nigeria, if you just joined us, you're still watching Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Now let's go to our main conversation for today. Yiaga Africa, an accredited election observer, has raised concerns about the integrity of Edo State governorship election.
Despite Senator Monday Okpevolo's win, Yiaga Africa found significant lapses in the election process using its process and result verification for transparency (PRVT) methodology.
The organization detected inconsistencies and disparities in the official results, suggesting manipulation during collation.
Yiaga Africa condemned bias, Inec, and security officials' interference in the coalition process. Notably, voter turnout was low at 22.4%, despite high PVC collection rates.
However, an Inec official disputed Yiaga Africa's findings, citing available legal channels for aggrieved parties. Yiaga Africa's report highlights concerns about election manipulation and transparency.
The organization's independent verification process reviewed discrepancies, sparking debate about the election's credibility.
For more on these, especially the information that we're bringing to you on, of course, the developing story that comes with it, Yiaga Africa's full report considers checking online news sources or the organization's official website. So that's what we have, and let's get to have a conversation today. And joining us virtually from Abuja is Ambassador Victor Atewe. He is a communication consultant and public affairs a commentator. Good morning to you, Ambassador.
Good morning,
Atewe.
Ambassador.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Good morning to you in the studio. Good morning, Nigeria.
We truly do appreciate it. And still with us, Barrister Valsofeli, thank you so very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Beautiful. So let's get into the crux of the matter here. Of course, Edo has come and gone. Of course, it leaves trails of chaos and here and there, especially with regards to the results. Of course, Yiaga has come up to say that they are not happy with what they have. What do you have to say to this, Ambassador?
Okay, thank you for that question. To be honest with you, real Edo people, I use the word real Edo people, not the stool, not those who are led by stomach infrastructure. The real Edo people are not happy with the result because the result is marred by a lot of manipulation, a lot of intimidation, to the opposition or to so-called the ruling party in the state, but of course being backed by the federal might, and a whole lot of irregularities, a whole lot of vote manipulation and a lot of vote buying really marred the election. And I think when I say vote buying, it's on the two sides, but of course one was outweighed by the highest bidder, but as it stands, the vote does not represent the true democratic process we as a nation tend to stand for. And to me, this is not what democracy is all about, and it seems that we're not ready as a nation for what a democratic process, of this nature should be like. But to be honest with you, real Edo-lite like myself and every well-meaning Edo who wants Edo to move forward, who project Edo to be, to be among the state on the world map, is not really happy with what is happening right now in Edo State. But of course, like they say, it's just about winning. Once you win, go to court.
Yes, but you talked about we are not ready for democracy. But if you take a look at what happened in Edo State, especially with regards to vote buying, every party is complicit to that. So why would you say we're not ready for democracy while both parties, of course, were all smeared in the same situation?
Now, in terms of vote buying, that has to do with, of course, in some part of the local government of the state, they are vote buying from the both side. I mean, yes, you can't take that. But my concern is the manipulation of the coalition results. Of course, when you, of course, it's a criminal act, and when you buy votes, it's for the person's conscience to either go or to decide whether to vote or not to vote. Okay, yes, people have voted, but the idea of manipulation, changing of results. How would you say, or how would you place it in a polling unit where you have over 300 and 15 accredited voters. No, 215 accredited voters, and you have APC winning 350. Well, I mean, how do you do?
Okay.
All right. I think we have.
So to be unbiased, turning away their face, and of course security agencies too, were complicit to this whole thing. So it's really it's a shame. Is that we've gotten to this level that the abnormal now becomes normal, and it's really a sad thing to behold.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Barrister Ivan Tufeli. So here believes that we don't have democracy, especially what was practiced in Edo State during the weekend. But the president of the country actually stated, and I want to quote him, he said he praised other candidates who participated in the election for their contributions to advancing Nigeria's democracy, and saying that the peaceful political contest such as the one on Saturday portrays Nigeria as a stable democratic country. Do you believe otherwise? One. And number two, if the president can say we practice democracy and what was exercised in Edo State was democratic election, does Yiaga now have the right to say it was not democratic enough?
Yes, there's freedom of speech in Nigeria. Besides, the president lied. It was a lie that this showed that it just tells you about how the mind of the president worked. Okay, we saw the irregularities. The vote buying is witchcraft. It's witchcraft, to say the least. And that was exactly what polarized the system on that day. People took their allegiance and they went to market to sell. And some people came to buy. You understand? So they polarized the entire place, and I said that was not enough. They still went to the collation center to alter the process. And the outcome of this will be that in places where you have maybe 60 accredited number of persons who were to vote, and you have maybe half of that number actual voters, then maybe you have a small portion of that number avoided votes. When you go and inflate the figure, at the end of the day, you will now see that you'll now be having more votes than was even registered for that polling unit or accredited. So that is what litigation will unravel. You understand? Because it's not enough to go and inflate in collation. Have you looked at the number of persons who are registered to vote in those local governments, and the number of persons who are accredited, and the number of actual voters? And when you are doing that inflation, sometimes they run into problem with that. And you see that the whole chunk of those areas, they'll be rerun. That's what the Electoral Act says. You understand? Inec have become something else. It has become, an albatross. Every year, Inec goes into an election. Inec is now like the poisonous leaf that is taken to a purification feast. When the people are ready, when the candidates are ready, INEC will come there and then soil the system.
Okay.
INEC is supposed to be the one ready, waiting for the people and the politicians. Most times, INEC is not ready. The politicians are ready, the people are ready. INEC is found wanting. We saw it in 2023 election. They were not there up until some place at 2 o'clock. And when they get there, they don't do what they are supposed to do to make sure that you have an itch-free election.
Thank you, Barrister Ivan. Talking about the collation process, you made a strategic comment that some disparity happened at the collation center, at the state level. Now, if you saw the clip online, Obaseki went to the collation center because some of the PDP agents were not allowed into the state collation center.
Yes.
Now, assuming the PDP INEC and the PDP agents were allowed into the collation center, do you think some of the results that were released would actually come out?
That is what I'm saying. They precluded them from going in, whereas other party agents were there. You understand? So that they'll be able to soil the system before, because all these agents are witnesses. They are credible witnesses in court. They are the ones that come to testify as to what they saw during the collation or during the voting or whatever. So by the time you preclude them from going in, use one excuse, they will not be able to testify. Even if they testify, they will only say we're not allowed in. they will not be able to go further and say, we're not allowed in, and we saw them, soiling the system. They will not be able to say that because you are expected to say as much as you witness. That's why you're a witness. But if you do, so the governor went there and all that. So there was a compromise, a serious compromise. So that compromise must be addressed. That is why you saw where the Inec official was telling Yiaga Africa that Yiaga Africa said that this election failed integrity test. And once by their own estimation, they may not be the authority to they are observers. Every observer will write a report. That is part of their report. They have a right to do so.
Yeah, very well.
Even if it's contrary to what the president has said, it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any. This is what they observe. The president was not there. The president was not in a dome. So why is he saying that this is advancement in democracy? The people who went there, Inec is discarding what they are saying. What Yiaga Africa is saying, they were on ground, they monitored the election and did everything. The president was not there. So let them go to court. I mean, PDP declared yesterday that the result is hereby rejected, and they're going to contest it. So I think that's the way to go.
All right. Of course, while we look at this in its entirety, Ambassador Victor, can we really say there's transparency in INEC in itself when we still have the numero uno, Professor Yakubu Mahmoud at the helm of that affairs? Do you think we can continuously in the future have transparency in that body that have been given the responsibility to organize and coordinate elections for us in our country, Nigeria?
Before I answer your question directly, I would like to give the background. How would you want to trust an election that is being headed by a person who oversees an election that was marred with a whole lot of irregularity, a whole election that was discredited both by local and national and international observers, who was seen to be election that failed in all its ramification. But of course, and the person at the end of affairs still remains the leader, still remains the chairman. And such election, what do you expect? To be honest with you, just like what your guest at the studio just said, for me, going to the courts is just a way just to satisfy, their curiosity, and of course, just to see if there's still hope, for this time now, not just for the common man, there's still hope for even the politicians, to see that, okay, judiciary can still stand to be neutral. But to me, I won't be surprised if that comes out from the courts. But trust me, with the current INEC being headed by Professor Mahmoud, I don't see anything different. We've always had this. I mean, there's Ondo State coming, Anambra State coming. You heard the APC chairman saying that they will use the same format in Ondo and of course in Anambra State election. So because they already know what they have there, they have their stew. They have somebody who would always turn, who always look the other way, who is not independent. I mean, somebody who oversees an election that was marred with a lot of irregularities, and you expect that person to coordinate a free and fair election. They'll always come out on the media to say yes, they are ready for election, ready for what's that word now? To make sure that they have a free and fair election. But the truth is, we always see that, of course, on the day of the election, there will be a logistic problem. Then on the day of the election, the INEC will turn away, will look to the other side, and the election thugs and their cronies will perpetrate their evil. We've always seen that stories keep coming and resurfacing on each of our election cycles. So for me, it's really sad, and not to sound negative, but to me, under this current leadership of INEC, I don't see any progress in our electionary in our election moving forward. Only if we have somebody who is independent and put Nigerians first to discharge his duty, and of course follow the rule have been set according to the book. I mean, this was a man that went to Chatham House and said any place that an election is not, Beavers is not being read, Beavers is not working, the election will be cancelled. And we have an election that, we saw on news, all over social media, where out where there's ballot box. I mean, by ballot box snatching. We saw where beavers were not working. We saw and those election cards, and they went to court, and INEC said different thing. So, and you want me to trust such person? You want Nigerians to trust such a man or such an institution? I'm sorry, I beg to differ. Unless maybe I don't know, but with this current chairman and all the system, I don't trust them being conducting a free and fair election in this country anytime soon.
All right. Okay. Yes, and not to sound pessimistic, Barrister Fansufeli, it's becoming very repetitive, if you ask me. You know, but what we see today is not different from what we used to see during the days of PDP, right? I remember PDP said they were going to rule for 60 years and more. You know, so when we see something like this happening also with the APC, isn't it normal for us? And how can we break from that chain if it's possible?
We shouldn't see it as normal. Whether it's happened during the PDP and the APC, they've always been rigging in the country. Do you know that when they had the first election in Nigeria, okay, there were riots. The first election, there were riots. You understand? You know, and that created a problem. Okay, and till date, we've had issues before we started votes. Snatching of ballot boxes and, you know, thuggery, using INEC to soil election and all sorts. Cumulatively, if you look at the first, second, third republic and now the fourth republic, you will see this same, if you look at it deeply and graphically, you see this motif running through the entire system. But today, vote buying has been elevated to a new level. That's also because the people think they are hungry. And because they are poor, it is justifiable for them to go and collect gratification. Now, you keep doing that every year and you are still hoping that the country will change along the line. The country can never change. A country cannot be better than its electoral process. Okay? It's what you give in that you take out. You cannot you cannot collaborate in the destruction of a thing and expect to benefit from that thing. It's madness to think so. So that's why we call on Nigerians at every time. You see, do you know Nigerians have the capacity to stop these politicians?
They have the capacity to stop
yes,
the politicians.
They have the capacity. If they all agree not to sell their votes
in unison
and donate their allegiance to whoever it is they want to lead them and move from there to the collation center. Tell INEC that we know who we voted for. Let's see what the result is. The people can stop the politicians, but they will not do that because they will go and collect gratification from them, collect food, collect rice, collect all sorts. At the end of the day, you are not able to get the right leader in office. A leader that has spent a fortune prosecuting an election on you, on INEC, on police, on everybody, okay, you now expect him to take the funds of that office to go start developing you and your family, and after you are taking that money from him, it will not work. So he's going to go there, sweep the entire funds. You will complain from now to your roads are bad, your this, you don't have water, you don't have light, it's your business. What you should do is to take that money they gave you as gratification to go and wire your house, go and get water, go and do your road with it. Because you have been settled. That's what it means, and that's how they see it. They will not come to you. If you rejected their fund, they keep their money and go to the polls on merit. So if they lose gallantly. The ones who will win, and when they get to office, they will owe you a responsibility. They owe you something. And they know that they will have to discharge that. That is what we should do. They shouldn't pay you while they are contesting, while they're asking you for your support. They should come and pay back when they win, and then do what they ought to do by law.
Thank you, Barrister Evans. Well, back to you as we coast home, because we are calling it a wrap. It is believed that without the knowledge of a thing, abuse is inevitable. In as much as we look at the politicians and look at some of the citizens and say they actually marred the election and it lacked integrity. Shouldn't we start from the point of understanding what integrity means, and maybe they could be held accountable if they understand and know what integrity means?
To be honest with you, they understand what integrity means, but they're not ready. Just like what your guest in the studio has said. The truth of the matter is, it's a system. It's a system problem, and they know it. A leader, you see, a citizen gets a leader they deserve. That's where I say it. Nigeria as a society, corruption has eaten deep into our bone marrow, and as such, it is hard. That's why they weaponize poverty. I mean, somebody who is out to look for an urgent 2K and you're dangling 10,000 in front of that person, what do you expect? The person would automatically jump on it. It's a psychological problem. People are hungry and understand that. So the better way to cage people, to make Nigerians be under and to make them be at their mercy at every election cycle, is to weaponize poverty and keep them perpetually poor and make themselves rich. So when they come, with or without even, and do not forget, not only just giving you money, they are everywhere in the system. Just like, the barrister in the studio was giving an analogy of everybody coming, and it happened in just the past concluded election, 2023 election. Nigeria came out, we saw people in the House of Assembly right now that never dreamt of becoming, or even entry, or even becoming an essay to an honorable member. As it stands now, they are honorable member in the House. Because why? Some Nigerian students said, we want a change once and for all. But what happened? A man totally bought the system. Have you ever seen an election being declared at about 3 in the dead of the night, 3 a.m.? It happened first time in this country, and nothing happened. So they understand these things. So that is why they come out and tell you, go to court, because you will meet them in court. They run the system. I regret to want to say that most times when I look at the system, I just can't wonder, and I'm like, are we trying to say that the only way out is because it appears that the people no longer, the people's vote no longer count. So as such, I feel like, okay, do we have to take law into our hands, which I don't support though, but they're pushing Nigerians to that brink, that even with a due process, we can't get what we deserve. We see people, in Abuja here, we see a Senate member who has been in the House for over 20 years, because the people decided and said, you know what, yes, we are not going to do, we stood by it, but at the brink of, they wanted to change it, but we stood by it. But that is one out of many. How many of our Nigerians, we know the way Nigerians are, how many Nigerians can we want to stand and say, listen, do or die, we're going to protect our stuff? You hear them complain and say, you know what, please, let me just go, they will do what they want to do. And we see that across, look at what happened in Edo State. A lot of people connected the PVC, but the voter turnout, the no voter turnout made them to perpetrate their evil. And for those who came out, they are old people who are poor. You could smell poverty around them. So to buy them with 10,000 naira, for me, I think they're being benevolent. They just wanted to okay, spread that across 4 years and you'll be fine. So they understand what integrity is. But the problem is, do we have it in the system? Do we have it in the Nigerian blood? We do. I will go back into the word of President Jonathan. He said, if we must get it right as a nation, we must first strengthen our institution and break our institution from personalized institution. From personalizing our institution, from making stronger people, we need to start making stronger institutions. We don't have them in the country. We have an IG who is bigger than even a state governor. We have an Inec chairman who doesn't respect the people, but of course submissive to the president because we are elected by the president. We want to have an Inec chairman that is being elected by the people. So when you have that, we have an institution that it works on its own, regardless of who sits on the end of affairs. But up until we get to that level, I beg to differ. We'll just keep repeating the same thing and sound like a broken record. And so far, maybe after our generation, maybe our children will try. Maybe the next one, only God knows what happened. Then until Jesus comes, then we'll know if we will be in heaven or we'll be on the other side. All
right. Ambassador Van Sefele, just before we draw our anchor, you talked about leaders. If due process is followed, that brings to birth good leaders according to the wishes of the people, that with that in line, it's possible for leaders to begin to do what the people say, if all things being equal. I love to make references a lot. Now, let's take our journey, our venture to Anambra State. ABGA. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, came at a point where, of course, APC was still strong there. Okay, the vote buying thing was still there. A number of people took the vote, took the money, but voted for APGA, voted for the man they wanted. At the end of the day, of course, everything went well. Chukwuma Soludo became the governor of Anambra State. 4 years plus down the line, he's not living up to expectation. So how do we break from this chain? Even when due process is followed, the right person comes to power. At the end of the day, the so-called right person is not doing what he is supposed to do. The same thing for Obaseki. When he transitioned from the APC to the PDP, people came. They fought for that democracy. Obaseki came into power. But the next 4 years, he couldn't deliver. So how do we actually break the chain of getting it right?
For Obaseki, it was quite clear that despite the people's empathy, he didn't deliver, and it was unfortunate. That of Soludo, the story is changing for Soludo. If you have checked report recently, okay. Yes, when he came in, the first 1 year, he didn't do much. He was not really doing anything significant. Okay, but right now, go check the last story, the last reports on road construction for Soludo, and there's some other project, issue of infrastructure generally. It's not owing salary. It's up and doing well in infrastructure now. It was slow, and the people complained. But check the current state now. Obaseki's own was unfortunate because people came out from different states to support him, to ensure that godfatherism is not instilled in Edo State. Because if you have godfatherism there, you will not have democracy any longer. So people fought against it. But unfortunately, he didn't do anything remarkable. He didn't, people are not proud of him, because if you struggle this hard, and if people had come out this much to support your cause and you're not able to deliver, it's quite unfortunate. And he's not remorseful about it. He's not. He feels he has delivered, what he should, what he should do as a governor. So, I've argued this before, that even when you have a clean electoral system, and then you believe in certain people that they will deliver based on their track record, people change too. So what we need is not just a clean electoral system. We also need people who are credible indeed. Because you could say this word is credible, so it goes there and it turns out to be something else. Especially when they are coming back for their second term. And that second term, they're not thinking of anybody. They're not thinking about anybody. They're only telling you they will do something. When they get in the second term, they turn the whole thing upside down. And that's selfish. So we need leaders who will be able to lay the blocks, who will be able to deliver on the promise of democracy. That is what is important to the Nigerian state. The resources they get in that office is enough to change their state. It's enough to change anywhere in the world. It's enough. But what they do is that they don't use it for that purpose. They begin to think about their children, their children, their great-grandchildren, and all those things. They beclouds them. And at the end of it, they can't perform. They can't do reasonable. They award contracts. When they award contracts, they go behind and collect almost the entire money from the contractor. And when the contract fails, they ensure that the contractor is not prosecuted. You understand, and all that. So a lot of dubious behavior. People who shouldn't even lead a community. They are leading an entire state. No capacity, nothing. How many of our governors are performing now as we speak? If you want to vilify Obaseki, you have duplicates of him all over the country. People just, some governors they're not in their states. They lead their state from Abuja. So, and when they get away with it, they keep getting away with it. So who is going to be altruistic when I can get away with non-performance, embezzlement, and all that? I'll get away with it. So who's going to lay his knife down for the average person in the country? As we speak now, things are difficult. I expect governors to have silos in their states where they will go to a farm and buy all the grains for their citizens, or where they will go outside the country, buy all the grains, subsidize it for their citizens, and make sure the citizens are. None of them are doing that. They are just there, driving cars, buying SUVs, and wasting resources.
Thank you, Barrister. Thank you.
All right, Ambassador, just in 30 seconds, if you may, just give us.
Okay. I just pray and I hope that our democratic process, I hope that it will be strengthened because the ordinary Nigerians are losing hope in our whole in the world, even in the democracy we practice. I hope that our institutions will be strengthened so the ordinary Nigerians can believe again in the tenet of democracy. And also, I really want to say that I think it's high time we need to start scrutinizing those we call our leaders, and we hope that the good people begin to come forward. Politics have gone beyond, let them do it. It is us. It affects our life. We see the way things are right now. Bag of rice is about 125,000 naira, and a crate of egg is going to 6,000 naira. I mean, it's no longer easy for the living to live. We are surviving. We're not living. We're just surviving as a country. So, and the funds are not coming as it should. So, and this is as a result of a policy being made by those we don't care how they do it. So, I think on all your Nigerians, it's high time that you need to get involved, come out and participate, not just be on the fence. You have to be involved in politics and let the good people start coming out. We can't just allow these people just to ruin our future, and not just us, but one of our children and our generation yet unborn. I mean, look, economically, we are getting it negative, and it's no longer funny. The people can no longer breathe. So I just want to hope that I strongly believe in the Nigerian nation. I strongly believe in us as a people, and I know we will get it right. But the future of this country is still in our hands, and we can't just leave it for some people who can't even govern their house to govern our lives and our nation as a people.
Thank you.
So I believe that we'll all get there one day.
Thank you so very much, Choma.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think Gen Zs are thinking about right about now, especially with what's happening? Do you think the Gen Zs of Nigerian Gen Zs are even interested in the polity anymore?
A lot of Gen Zs want to leave the country. They're not interested in the polity. And if you look at the narrative, it's changing. No more going to work, doing the more 9 to 5. Jobs are more remote these days, and there are the opportunities for them to be creative.
So they don't even care about the government.
They don't care.
They don't even care who takes power.
In a way, they don't care, and at the same time, they care consciously and unconsciously, because in the end, we are still in the country Nigeria. It rubs off on us, the constitution, the laws, and the policies. So in as much as they don't care 60%, the remaining 40% they care.
They care.
That's just the truth.
And the 40% is skeletal, unfortunately. Thank you so very much, Ambassador Victor Atewe, for being part of our show today. We truly do appreciate your time. Barrister Evans Sofeli, thank you so much for being part of our show. And to you, who you will love to say thank you to you, wherever it is you've streamed or watched from, we truly do appreciate your time and never will take you for granted. But please do well to see us anytime that you like at enterprisetvnews.com, and also like, comment respectfully, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
On behalf of the entire team, thank you once more. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.